Hey there, Stampers. This is Sherry Roth with Stamped Treasures. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I'm excited to be here to create a scrapbook layout using the August 2025 Farmhouse Florals Paper Pumpkin Kit from Stampin' Up! So, Paper Pumpkin, if you're not familiar with it, is a monthly subscription kit where you get everything that you need to create whatever that month's projects are. For the most part, they are cards. However, on occasion, it's a different project. And this month, or for the month of August, you received the supplies to create 9 cards, and these are versions of those 9 cards. I kept them pretty similar. I did add some ink blending around the edges just to kind of make them a little bit more vintagey. But I loved the elements in this month's kit. They're so pretty. So in the kit, you get photo instructions. On the back, it shows you the contents of the kit. There's usually a coordinating, or there's always a coordinating die set that coordinates with 3 months worth of kits. It lists the Stampin' Up! Coordinating colors, so if you want to add in extra cardstock and inks and stuff to match. And in August, there was a bonus stamp set as well. So this was the stamp set that came in the kit, Farmhouse Florals, so some great greetings. I love the casual font in this, so fun. And then this was the bonus stamp set, which is called Friendly Florals. And we're going to be using this image today, and this image, and then these 2 images here, these 2 flowers. I think that's what we're going to be using today. And then you get all of the pieces that you need to create that month's project. So there's some envelopes here. You get a stamp and spot. So this month it was Secret C. If there's any twine on the projects or embellishments, you get those as well. And then you get adhesive. So it came with dimensionals this month. So you get a little sheet of dimensionals. So I'm going to keep this stuff out because we're going to use that. And then you can see that I've pulled out some extra pieces. So because I'm going to work on a 12 by 12 layout, I need some 12 by 12 cardstock. So I pulled out a piece of 2-toned, not basic gray granite cardstock, which is one of the coordinating colors in it. And I'm going to use that as my base, but I want to gut it because for the most part, it's going to be, this white is going to cover it over. But before I do that, I want to tear the edges of my white. So I believe this is a piece of white willow cardstock, 12 by 12. And I'm just going to go ahead and tear it. And actually, I think what I'm going to do at this point is I am actually just going to speed this up and I'll talk you through the process. All right. After tearing the cardstock, I put it onto the gray and it felt like it was a little bit too much gray showing. So I pulled in a piece of Lost Lagoon 12 by 12 2-tone cardstock. And so it will be white onto the gray granite and then onto the Lost Lagoon. So I'm going to gut the cardstock. So I basically, to do this, I line it up with the 1-inch mark. Oh, hang on, I'm trimming it down. This is trimmed down so that I have just a little bit over 1/8 of an inch border of the Lost Lagoon showing around the edges. And then I realized that, well, I trimmed it a little bit too much. So I had to trim or tear off a little bit of the white cardstock on one side. All right, so here I'm gutting the cardstock. So basically I'm lining it up with the 1-inch mark on the right-hand side of my paper trimmer. And I'm cutting from the 1-inch mark to about the 10 3/4 inch mark so that I have about an inch border on all 4 sides. I'm just rotating it and repeating that process on all 4 sides. So I did that for the gray granite piece, and then I have this larger gray granite piece that I can use on a different project. I also did it for the Lost Lagoon piece as well. So I've got 2 frames that will go in behind that white torn paper. But before we add them together, we're going to do something. We're going to do some stamping and ink blending on this white piece. Starting with some gray granite ink and a blending brush, and I'm going to go around the edges with the gray granite, and in the corners I'm kind of coming in a little further and then just a little bit around the edges. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. And then I'm going to come in with some Lost Lagoon and just kind of bring a little bit of Lost Lagoon in a little bit further. It's really subtle. I didn't add a lot. So unless you look closely, you can't really see it. especially on camera. It is a little bit more noticeable in person. So the photos that are going to go in this layout are photos of an antique typewriter that my husband found. We've started thrifting and we absolutely love it. And he knew I was looking for an antique typewriter. So I have it sitting in the garage. I need to clean it up. I'll come back to the story in just a minute. So here I'm taking some of the stamps and I'm stamping kind of a little bit of detail in the four corners. So I'm taking this stamp and I'm stamping with basic gray ink, just kind of in a couple directions in the four corners. So I've got the antique typewriter sitting in the garage. It needs to be cleaned up. So I plan on doing that. I'll take a before picture of it messy, and then I plan on taking an after picture of it, how I style it. I've got some ideas on how to style it. This is just something fun that fun little hobby that I've picked up on the side, and I absolutely love it. It's been so fun, and it's nice that both my husband and I enjoy doing it. Okay, so now I'm bringing in, what color is this? This is Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to stamp some of this little trio of little dots. No, they're not really dots. I think they're meant to be like little flowers. So I'm stamping those in the four corners, and then I'm going to bring in some Calypso Coral, and I'm going to stamp some flowers. And then I'll bring in some Darling Duckling and stamp some of the smallest yellow flowers as well. So because I don't have photos, I know I want to include 2 3x4 photos on this layout. So I have the mats, which are Lost Lagoon cardstock, and I'll just, once I've got that typewriter cleaned up and styled, I will take a photo and then print both of those photos and add them to the layout. I've even got my journaling done. You'll see that in just a minute here. All right, so I'm just adding in some of these yellow flowers. Some of them are stamped full strength and some of them second generation. All right, so there's my 2 photo mats, and then I loved this. Oh, I'm gonna adhere these layers first. So when you do that, you just wanna remember to just add adhesive around the side. So I love this big focal point in the center. I thought it would be perfect to house some hidden journaling. So I just cut a piece of one of the card bases, the back of one of the card bases, into a tag shape. And because we've been thrifting so much, I decided to include some of the vintage lace that I found on here, and then just use some of the linen thread in the kit to wrap around it and tie a bow. And that's what the top is. I did use a 1/2-inch circle punch and punched out some of the Secret Sea little scrap that is on the typewriter card that I cut up. All right, so that's going to go there. And you saw that I kind of flipped it over and I added dimensionals around the sides to create a little pocket to hold my journaling. Now I'm just adding some adhesive to the backs of these. And I'm loving how this looks already. I love that I added that second layer for a mat. Okay, so this was cut out of one of the card bases. And now I'm going to trim off the back here, and I'm going to do some ink blending on this piece because this is what I'm going to use to cut out my title. So I'm doing some gray granite ink blending first. And then I'll add some Lost Lagoon so that it's kind of two-tone and it's nice and subtle. I'm looking for kind of a more subtle look to this, kind of a little bit of a vintagey feel to the layout. So I've got that added on there, and then I'm going to use the Party Alphabet dies to die cut the word find because my title is going to be a great find. And my journaling kind of talks about how my husband and I have started antiquing. We just kind of started this summer. We really enjoy it, and how he found this fabulous antique, this little, not mini, but it's a smaller sized little antique typewriter. He knew I had been looking for one, and the size of this is perfect. We don't have a very big house, and we don't have a lot of space to display some of this stuff that we found. So the sizing is just perfect. All right, so here I was going to use a second typewriter to kind of add on top of that typewriter, but then I really love the typewriter, so I decided to save it. And I popped out the paper that's meant, the copy paper that's meant to go in the typewriter, and I stamped "This Happened" from the Celebrate Together stamp set. And then here you can see I'm tucking it into the typewriter, and then I decide, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to waste that typewriter. I want to save that for another project. So I grabbed my Take Your Pick tool with the blade on it, the cutting blade, and a metal ruler, and I'm just making a slit so that I can slide the paper in here to give it just a little bit more of a 3D look. And then I will add some dimensionals to the back of that. And that will be one of the little focal points on my layout. Lots of little dimensionals there. So that's going to go on there. And now I'm going to finish working on my title. So I'm just lining it up, and I need to stamp. So I'm going to pull in the month by month alphabet set. And I'm using the ruler just to make sure that I kind of know where I want to stamp it. So I just used a light pencil mark. And I'm going to use the uppercase and some secret C in the stamp set, and stamp a great. And I'm starting with the letter T and working my way back, because I wasn't sure if I was going to need to do it on 2 lines or if it would all fit on one. And now I'm just adhering the letters. I'm going to use some multi-purpose glue for that. I don't use a lot of multi-purpose glue when I scrapbook, but for something like this, it works great. I'm just adding those letters on there, and then I think I just add one more little thing. I had a flower that had a couple little flower die cut pieces that had fallen out of the leftover pieces that I had. So I add that to the corner of the letter D. I pop them up using some dimensionals. And just there. So I'm going to add some dimensionals, and then the layout is done. I love how it turned out. I think this is going to be perfect for the photos. I can't wait to take them and add them to my layout so that this story is documented. So I hope you guys enjoyed this paper pumpkin scrapbooking video. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you are not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. And if you live in Canada and would like to become a paper pumpkin subscriber, I'd love for you to subscribe with me. I will have a link to where you can subscribe in the comments below. So thanks so much. Take care.